All right, so beginning here in a child's pose. In your child's pose, you want to draw your hips back toward your heels. And if anything, you should make a complete connection between your butt cheeks and your heels. Knees are as wide as the mat, big toes together, heels slightly apart. Sit back on your heels first, then walk your body all the way forward. So here in child's pose, it's considered a forward bend. Right, we're rounding out the lower back, stretching out the lower vertebrae. In addition to the nice lower back stretch you're getting, you are stretching out the tops of your feet, your ankles, and then reach your fingertips as far forward as you can. Take 3 more breaths here in your child's pose. 1 more inhale. As you exhale, keep your body low, gaze comes forward, walk your fingertips to the right corner of your mat. So as you travel to the right, don't lose connection between your left hip and your left heel. And then if you want an extra stretch, take your left hand directly on top of your right. You should feel a really nice stretch in the left side of your body, starting in the armpit, traveling down the side body, and stopping by about the hip. 1 more inhale. And then as you exhale, travel your hands back through the middle of your mat over to the other side. Same idea, we want to keep the connection between the right hip and the right heel this time. And to intensify the stretch, you can walk your right hand on top of your left. 2 more breaths. 1 more inhale. And then exhale, come on back to the middle of your child's pose. See if you can get your fingers a little bit longer. And then draw your hips towards your heels a little bit deeper. So you should feel this nice, expansive feeling in the spine. 1 more inhale. And then exhale, carefully roll forward to your tabletop position. From your tabletop, let's take a couple of cat-cows here. Tuck your toes into the mat. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the hips, look up to the ceiling, cow pose. And then exhale, push your hips forward for cat pose. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the hips, arch the spine. And then exhale, round. Take about 2 more here. Inhale. And exhale. Last time, inhale. And exhale. Come on back to your neutral tabletop. From your tabletop, tuck your right toes to the back edge of your mat. Tuck your left toes back. You're in plank pose. From your plank, send your hips all the way up and back, coming into downward facing dog. So today's class, we're going to use the foam roller, and it's going to be pretty much spine related. And I want you to notice, this is our first downward dog of the day. We're going to go through just a couple of movements and then transition to the foam roller. And then after we foam roll, we're going to come back into downward dog, and I want you to hopefully feel this major difference in how your downward facing dog feels after we foam roll. Have a slight bend in your knees if you need to here. Your gaze is in between your feet. You're pressing in between your thumb and your index finger. Take 1 more inhale, fill up the lungs. As you exhale, bend your knees, look forward. Inhale, walk your feet up to your hands. Hands to shins, flatten out the back. And then exhale, lower down. Inhale, carefully roll up 1 vertebrae at a time. And exhale at the top. So at the top of your space, just moving through a couple of warm-up stretches. Take a big inhale, reach up all the way, palms meet at the top. And then exhale, lower down. Inhale, press into the shins, flatten out the back. Exhale, lower. Inhale, carefully roll up 1 vertebrae at a time. And exhale at the top. Second one, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, hands to shins, flatten out the back. As you exhale, lower down. This time, hold on to opposite elbows here in your ragdoll position. So from a side view, your ragdoll can absolutely be with bent knees. Try to frame your head by your arms. And then just let your upper body be really heavy here, feeling a nice stretch on the lower back. Good. Take 2 more breaths here. Maybe gradually straighten the legs like a millimeter with every inhale. You want to feel a subtle stretch here. On your next exhale, wrap your hands around your waist, give it a squeeze. Inhale, carefully roll back up to stand. Exhale at the top. So come to the back of your space. We're making our way back to downward facing dog. Take a big inhale, lift up all the way, palms meet at the top. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hands to shins, flatten out the back. As you exhale, walk your hands forward to your plank pose. From your plank, without moving your hands hands where your feet, send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. So second one, hopefully they're starting to feel a little bit looser, a little bit more comfortable. We're here for about 3 more breaths, then we're going to transition to the foam roller. Inhale, fill up. Exhale out. One more inhale. And then as you exhale, just drop your knees down, hips to heels. Take a child's pose for a moment. Let all that go. And then on your next inhale, rolling forward, grabbing your foam roller. So whenever we foam roll the upper back, your shoulder blades, the bottom tips of your shoulder blades, or let's say you're wearing a string bikini, right? Wherever your bikini would be is the lowest point you will go. So we'll get to lower back later, and the reason why is because if you were to sort of just feel your lower back here, you would feel the boniness of your spine versus the upper back, which is more protected by your lats. And with regard to foam rolling, we only want to foam roll muscle, never bone. So what you're going to do, take the foam roller toward the back of your space, and you're going to lie back, place the foam roller just underneath the bottom tips of the shoulder blades. From here, keep your feet and your butt on the ground, hands come behind the head. You're going to inhale, lean back all the way, look for the wall behind you, and then exhale, come on back to neutral. Inhale, gaze comes back, so we're arching the spine, opening up the chest. Exhale, release. So really important to start to link your breath to your movement here. Your inhale is going to open up the chest, expand the lungs, and your exhale will allow you to soften back to neutral. So in a perfect yoga world, you create so much space in your upper back and your chest that you can comfortably get the crown of your head to touch the ground. So maybe not today, but certainly one day. It is physically possible. Life just gets in the way. Let's go for about 2 more here. Maybe you got a crack or a pop. If not, just wait. Last one. And then come on back to neutral. So from here, your feet will stay on the ground. Now lift your butt off of the floor. Gaze remains at the ceiling. Start to roll forward and backward over the upper back. So at this point, you should definitely feel some cracks and pops. You have 3 grip options. You can keep your hands behind your head. You can hold on to opposite elbows. Or interlace your fingers, press your palms away. All 3 options, whichever you chose, just rotate the muscles at a different angle, therefore changing the angle that the foam roller massages your back. Let's go for about another 10 seconds here. So cracks and pops are completely safe and okay. It's literally just breaking up all of the tension that builds in our upper back from daily activity, whether you are a gym rat or you're picking up kids, putting groceries away, spending time seated at your desk. All of these lifestyle things build up tension in our upper back. It's sort of the inevitable. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. From here, you're going to drop the hips, slowly sit up, and just give yourself a moment to allow that to adjust. So for our next one, you're going to come back to that exact same starting position. So foam roller underneath the bottom tips of the shoulder blades. Feet and hips on the ground, hands come behind the head. From here, I want you to tap the mat behind your foam roller with your elbows. If you cannot reach your elbows toward the back of your mat, it doesn't mean that your arms are too short. It likely means that the foam roller is too high up on the upper back. So to allow your elbows to tap the mat behind you, send the foam roller south a couple of inches, just toward the lower back. But remember to not place it lower than the bottom of the shoulder blades. Let's go for 3 more here. Good. If this starts to bring a little bit of heat or makes you sweat, it's because we're pressing directly into the lymph nodes here. 1 more each side. And then release. Carefully sit up. You're going to send the foam roller now underneath your head. So your neck is one of 2 places where we never directly roll back and forth over, but instead, you're going to move your neck over a still foam roller. So feet, hips stay on the ground, bend your knees, plant your feet, look at your knees, and carefully just rock your head from side to side. So with your gaze at your knees, you should feel a nice massage in the base of your head, And then shifting your gaze up to the ceiling, the massage transfers to the middle of your head. So from here, I'd like you to pick a couple of points in front of you and make like a zigzag shape with your gaze. And by creating that zigzag shape, this should feel like half of the head massage. We're only here for about another 20 seconds or so. So remember, your feet and your hips stay on the ground. And if you ever wanted to foam roll, just remember we are never rolling back and forth over the neck. You always move your neck over a still foam roller. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Make sure your neck is nice and neutral, and then you're going to carefully sit up. So the foam roller now will come to the right side of your space. We're going to roll out the shoulders just for one more movement. So when we roll out the lat muscle, you want to start by locating your first rib. 1 inch above your first rib will be the placement of the foam roller. Then from there, we're going north into the armpit, not south into the rib cage. Remember that golden rule from before. We want to roll muscle, never bone. So let's set it up. You're going to come down on your right forearm to start. Your right leg is your bottom leg, and it's long. Your left foot will plant behind your right leg. Locate your first rib, and then 1 inch above it is where you will place the foam roller. Walk the right fingertips out. Left hand comes behind the head, and then just gently rock your body weight from side to side. And what you should feel is like a lot of pressure in that spot. So we don't want to hang out on the same spot for too long. After a couple rocks side to side, just lift your body up for a moment, send the foam roller north into your armpit 1 inch, and then just make that adjustment. Keep going side to side again. Good. Last 3, 2, and 1. Make one more adjustment here, and rock side to side again. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Carefully make your way up, and then let's switch sides. So now the foam roller comes to the left side of your mat. Drop down onto the left forearm. Your left leg is your bottom leg and it's long. Plant your right foot behind your left leg. And now you're going to send the foam roller. Set it so it's 1 inch above your first rib. Your right hand will come behind your head this time. And just gently rock side to side over that spot. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. From here, just lift your armpit, send the foam roller north 1 inch, go down again, and just rock side to side. We have one more adjustment coming up in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Send it up 1 inch higher. Good. Last little adjustment here, and then we're going to make our way back to downward facing dog. Last 3, 2, and 1. Carefully make your way out of this. Send your foam roller off to the side, but not too far away. We are going to use it again. And let's make our way back to downward facing dog. So come to your tabletop, tuck your right toes back, tuck your left toes back, plank pose. From your plank hips, shoot up and back, downward facing dog. So just take a moment to adjust here into your down dog and try to notice the difference it feels now versus your first one. Hopefully you're able to feel maybe a little bit longer, your down dog feels a little bit easier. We're here for 3 more breaths, and as always, if you have to bend your knees, doesn't make you a bad person, just mean you have tight hamstrings, which I do. Last 2 breaths here, inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose, inhale, fill up. As you exhale, you're going to bend your knees deeply, rest your belly on your thighs, walk your hands back toward your feet, and then you're going to bring your hands to your shins, flatten out your back, inhale, and then exhale, lower down. Inhale, carefully roll up 1 vertebrae at a time, and exhale at the top. We're going to make our way back into downward facing dog, and then we'll start to do lower back with the foam roller. Inhale, reach up, palms meet at the top, and then exhale, lower down. Inhale, hands to shins, flatten out the back. As you exhale, walk your hands forward to your plank pose first. And then from your plank, hips come up and back, downward dog again. And as always, if downward dog does not feel right, not a problem, take a child's pose. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your nose. Inhale, fill up your lungs. Exhale, let it go. Take one more inhale. And then as you exhale, drop your knees down, hips to heels, take a child's pose. Drop your forehead down to the ground if that's comfortable, or into a block. Inhale, fill up. Exhale, let it go. And then use your next inhale to carefully sit up. So whenever we foam roll out the lower back, your entrance is really important. You never, ever, ever want to just lie down over the foam roller like that. That's really bad for your back, and doing that a couple of times will actually, put you at risk for hurting yourself. So the best and safest way to enter into foam rolling for the lower back is to have the foam roller off to the side. You're going to carefully lower down and lie down on your back. On your back, you're going to bend your knees, plant your feet, lift your hips up, send the foam roller underneath your lower back. So, foam roller should be directly underneath your tailbone, and you're here, and it would be sort of like what we do in yoga with bridge pose. So you've got a couple of options here. Option one is to stay just like this in bridge pose. Option two is to start to straighten out your legs. If you're straightening out your legs, have your heels facing each other, toes facing apart. So what that starts to do is it rotates the hips away from the body, it arches the spine, and then from here, reach your arms all the way up overhead. So our bodies have this natural tendency to always want to rotate inward, in toward our midline, and the way the foam roller is set up on your lower back forces everything to rotate outward. So it gets a lot of relief from like that slouching and hunching that tends to happen toward the end of the day and the end of the week. And you'll know right away if having your body extended out like this is too much for you. Like I know for me, I have a pretty sensitive lower back, and I'm starting to feel a little achy, so I'm just going to bend my knees, come on back into that bridge pose. But wherever you are, you're here for about 3 more breaths. So the lower back is the second place that we really need to be mindful of with foam rolling. Your lower back is really delicate. There's a lot of bone exposed in comparison to the upper back, which is a lot more muscular. So instead of moving over the foam roller, we move over a still foam roller. So you're never rolling back and forth. We're just moving over the roller with it still. So from here, let's meet back in bridge pose. You're going to bend your knees, plant your feet. Tailbone will stay on the foam roller. And then bring your hands to either side of the roller. You're going to hold on to it for stability. From here, keep your tailbone on the foam roller. Bring your knees into your chest. Heels are going to hover above the butt. You want to hold on to it with both of your hands to keep it still. And then from here, windshield wipe your knees from side to side. So what you ultimately should start to feel is like a zap or a zing in your butt cheek. And that zing is your sciatic nerve saying hello. Your sciatic nerve is often the culprit for some lower back issues. When we spend a lot of time seated, especially at our desks all day, we build up a lot of tension down there. That's why this gets very sensitive. So you are literally just massaging out the tension from your sciatic nerve. Let's go for about 3 more each side. So when I come all the way over to the left, my right hip and my right butt cheek are way off of the foam roller, and all of my weight is into the left side. And the same goes when I come over to the right. Everything leans into the right side. So there is definitely not an even distribution of your weight in this pose. We want to make sure all of the weight comes to one side and then over to the other. Let's go for 2 more. And last one. Good. After your last one, you're going to bend your knees, plant your feet. Make sure your tailbone is on the foam roller. You're going to extend your right leg for the top of your mat. We want to keep it nice and long. Glue your heel to the floor. Bring your left knee into your chest. Interlace your fingers below the left knee, and you're pulling your knee towards your chest and simultaneously gluing the right heel to the floor. So this gives you a nice hip and piriformis stretch. What you should feel is like a little bit of a pinch in the left side and like an elongating stretch on the right side. One more inhale. And then exhale, let's switch. Bring your right knee into your chest, left leg glues for the top of your mat. Pull the right knee in nice and tight. 2 more breaths here. 1 more inhale. And then exhale, gently let that go. Come on back to your bridge pose. So your exit from the foam roller is just as important as your entry. You never, ever, ever want to just sit up from here. Your lower back, that's a really, really big back bend here, and that's kind of dangerous. So your exit is super important. All you're going to do is lift your hips up, push the foam roller out of the way, and then lower your hips back down. Back is nice and flat into the mat, and just hug your knees in towards your chest here, finding that nice rounding in the lower back. So when we have the foam roller underneath the tailbone, we're arching the spine pretty significantly. And whenever you arch the spine or back bend, you want to counter it with a forward bend or a rounding motion like knees to chest. From here, raise your right arm over your head. Your bicep will become a little bit of a pillow as you carefully roll all the way over to your right side. Take a pause. Give yourselves a moment to adjust. And then when you feel ready, left hand is going to act as a kickstand to press you back up into a comfortable seated position. And you are all done today. Thank you so much.